some balloons. Hey.
Because you didn't buy it, bro. You bought the turtle.
We didn't buy the turtle.
Oh, then you might have money. Ask me.
We got.
Not say nothing else to them.
The NFL offseason took a sharp turn when what was supposed to be a lighthearted back and forth between players turned into one of the most replayed moments on the internet. Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback who stays under a microscope no matter what he does, found himself at the center of another viral clip. Not because of a bad throw, not because of his last name, but because someone decided to take the banter way too far. During a live show that featured several young stars, including Micah Parsons and Shedeur Sanders alongside the Sanders brothers, the energy started out loose. Jokes, laughs, the kind of easy back and forth you expect when players get in the same room together. Then, the vibe flipped. New York Giants running back Cam Skattebo threw out a line that immediately made the room tense. He called Shedeur broke, framing it as a joke tied to draft position and contract status, a cheap shot about being a later-round pick compared to where other guys landed. The problem?
Some balloons. Hey.
Because you didn't buy it, bro. You bought the turtle.
We didn't buy the turtle.
Oh, then you might have money. Ask me.
We got.
Not say nothing else to them.
It didn't land like a punchline, it landed like a cheap shot, because that kind of comment doesn't say anything about football. It speaks to insecurity, to someone trying to score points in a room full of cameras, and it also showed a complete misunderstanding of how money and leverage actually work in today's NFL, especially for a player who had already been building a brand long before he ever took a snap at the professional level. What made the moment even louder was Shedeur's response. He didn't bark back. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't turn it into a shouting match. He let the silence do the work. And in a room like that, silence can be the loudest answer in the building. Instead, he gave Skattebo a look, the kind of look that says everything without you having to say a single word. Then he smiled. Not a warm, friendly smile, the kind that quietly tells you the joke just backfired and you're the one standing in it. Cam Skattebo was trying to be loud. He was trying to look dominant, trying to carve out some relevance in a room where bigger names were already holding the space. But what he failed to realize is that calling Shedeur broke is like calling Bill Gates cheap. It's not just inaccurate, it's embarrassing. Now, people love to toss around numbers online, jersey sales, endorsements, all of that. But even without turning this into a spreadsheet, the bigger point is simple. Shedeur is not operating like a normal rookie. He's operating like a business, and that's exactly why the insult didn't hit. It couldn't hit.
Lose time, lose friends, lose nights, lose mornings, lose more sweat than I knew I had, but lose the target I have on my back? Nah.
We're talking about a platform that prints value every time the camera turns on. That's the part Skattebo missed, and it only gets more telling from there, because the next layer isn't about what Shedeur earns on a contract, it's about the decisions he makes when real money gets placed on the table, and whether he thinks like an athlete chasing a payday or like an executive building an empire. He allegedly took it a step further by thinking beyond a flat endorsement check and pushing for upside. The story that started circulating online was that instead of treating it like a typical sponsorship deal, he wanted equity-style participation, a stake tied to long-term value. And whether the exact terms people are throwing around online are accurate or not, the concept is what matters. Cash is a payment. Ownership is leverage, because even a small percentage of a major brand can be worth more than a headline number if the business keeps growing. That's how you go from making money to building wealth, the kind that outlives a playing career and becomes something generational. And that's exactly why the broke line was never gonna land the way Cam Skattebo thought it would. If you're taking shots at a guy whose entire business approach is built around long-term positioning, you're not exposing him, you're exposing yourself. The same thing applies to all the endorsement chatter that followed Shedeur for years. People love to attach massive dollar figures to his deals, debate whether a player has earned it yet, and argue about draft position like it's some kind of financial ceiling. But modern athlete money doesn't work like that anymore. It's not just about where you were drafted, it's about attention, brand gravity, and whether companies believe you can move product and hold cultural relevance. That's why brands like Gatorade and Nike are always watching the same things, not just highlights, but influence, identity, and how fans react when your name hits the timeline.
Yeah, I'm just excited for all of them. I give to a lot of receivers the Prime DT96s. You know, a couple of them had them on. So I just give to a couple of like the main receivers going into this game. You know, I give to them some warm, some didn't. But I was like, okay, this is just my little appreciation gift to them. Because they don't be having a lot in stock. So I couldn't do everybody. I wish I could.
Then there's the jersey conversation, which people constantly oversimplify. Players can earn from officially licensed merchandise in different ways depending on their agreements and licensing structures. The exact splits aren't something you can nail down from a viral post, but the bigger point still stands. When your jersey becomes a statement purchase, when fans are buying it because they're genuinely invested in your story, that creates a revenue lane most players never come close to touching at a meaningful level.
This is the first time in history that a 5th-round pick has led jersey sales.
Yeah.
Nobody is watching 3rd, 4th round as much as we would watch it. But you got to understand, freedom of speech is not free. And I think what Shedeur was doing, what Shedeur was saying, what his father was saying, and the way the father has kind of engulfed his children as you're going into a league where it's like, yo, I'm going to win.
Shedeur Sanders has sold the most amount of jerseys out of any rookie this year.
With that broke line, Skattebo wasn't just making a bad joke. He was showing he doesn't understand the difference between contract money and brand wealth, between a paycheck and a portfolio. And he also forgot one more thing. In today's league, the player doesn't always have to clap back. The internet does it for them. If you take a cheap shot at a polarizing, high-profile name, the reaction itself becomes the penalty flag. The clip travels, the comments pile up, and suddenly you're the one on the defensive, while the other guy never even raised his voice. That's the real lesson. Trying to sound dominant in a viral moment is easy. Actually understanding the business you're standing inside is a whole lot harder. What made that moment so revealing is how many people still think NFL money starts and ends with a rookie contract. That's the surface level view. The deeper reality is that football is just one lane in the business now. The most prepared players treat the league like a platform, not just a paycheck. A later draft slot can limit your base salary, sure, but it does not automatically limit what you can earn outside of that contract. Endorsements, licensing, appearances, digital content, brand partnerships, and long-term business moves can all outpace a standard deal if the athlete has something most players don't. That is attention. Attention is what sponsors are buying. Attention is what moves jerseys, builds fan communities, and turns an athlete into a brand. And Shedeur has been managing attention like a professional asset for years. Some athletes try to avoid the spotlight, some chase it. He's one of the rare ones who seems to genuinely understand how to control it without letting it control him. That's why the broke comment wasn't just disrespectful, it was strategically dumb. Because the insult was built on an assumption the entire room already knew was outdated. It was a joke written for an old NFL economy, one where contracts were the only scoreboard. This is a new economy. In this one, the player who can keep their composure in a viral moment protects their brand. The player who loses control becomes the content. Here's where it gets interesting though. Because moments like that don't end when the camera cuts. They carry into the next week of conversations, posts, reaction videos, and locker room chatter. The joke becomes a narrative, and narratives have consequences. For Cam Skattebo, the consequence is that he just handed people a storyline where he's swinging for relevance. Even if that wasn't his intention, that's how it gets framed. In the attention economy, perception is the penalty. For Shedeur, the consequence is almost the exact opposite. His brand gets reinforced as calm, controlled, and unbothered. Not because he's pretending nothing happened, but because he handled it like someone who understood exactly what the moment was worth. That's the lesson a lot of young players learn too late. When you're in public, every reaction is a business decision. You can win a shouting match and still lose the moment. You can fire off a great comeback and still come across as unstable. The audience doesn't just judge what you say, they judge what you become while you're saying it, and the fans are always watching. Shedeur supporters don't just follow stats, they follow respect. They follow the narrative. They follow anything that looks like a slight against him, and they react like a community defending one of their own. That's why the backlash doesn't even require Shedeur to say a word. The machine moves on its own. So if Cam Skattebo thought he was just joking around, he's about to learn the difference between private trash talk and public disrespect. One stays in the room, the other turns into a digital receipt that gets replayed forever. And the wild part? Shedeur didn't even have to win the argument. All he had to do was stay calm long enough for everyone watching to see who lost control first. The final twist in all of this is that Shedeur never actually had to respond, because the moment was never really about words. It was about posture. It was about who looked secure and who looked pressed when the room shifted from jokes to disrespect. Skattebo tried to turn draft position into a weapon, like a round number alone decides a man's value. But the NFL has never worked that way for the players who truly understand timing, branding, and leverage. Football is the stage, business is the long game, and Shedeur has been playing the long game in front of everyone for a long time. That's why the broke comment didn't expose him, it exposed the mindset behind it. It revealed someone still measuring success with a ruler that doesn't fit the era we're in. Because in this era, the richest player isn't always the one with the biggest base salary. It's the one with the strongest platform, the cleanest image under pressure, and the discipline to let the internet chase the noise while he keeps his hands on the wheel. And that's the part people missed. Shedeur didn't win by arguing. He won by refusing to look bothered. He won by letting the room feel the awkwardness, letting the cameras catch the silence, and letting that quiet smile send the message that he knew exactly what was happening. You could see it on the faces around him. They knew the line went too far. They knew it wasn't clever. And they knew the response was going to be bigger than anything said on that stage, because the response was going to come from the crowd. That's how you know who has real influence. The player who has to scream for attention is not the one who controls it. The player who stays calm while someone else is spiraling is the one that everybody ends up talking about the next day.